So how is Mexico's economy doing under President AMLO? Well, let's bring in political science and international relations professor David Shirk. He's also the director of the master's program in international relations at the University of San Diego. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So what did you see as the biggest takeaways from President AMLO's first State of the Union address?
I think the biggest takeaway is that his first year has by no means been as successful as he would like. The fact that the economy is performing at best just above negative territory, and the fact that there is an ongoing problem of rampant criminal violence are really two big problems, because those were two issues that López Obrador said that he was going to fix, that he was going to promote greater prosperity for all Mexicans, particularly the poor, and he was going to stop the violence through a policy of peace and justice.
Now, the president did say that he was delivering on this transformation that he promised. But as we know, there were also protests and critics of the president at the same time making their dissatisfaction known. What sort of transformation have we seen under AMLO?
Well, López Obrador promised that he would end corruption, in addition to being a president for the poor and in addition to being a president for peace. But I do think that the one thing he has delivered on is that he has made a very serious effort to promote austerity in his own government. He sold the presidential plane. He has dropped government salaries across the board, including his own, and has himself been flying coach all around the country. And those are very important symbolic gestures. But we've also seen this government go after corrupt officials, including several corrupt governors who have since been brought to justice or are being brought into into the criminal justice system. So, in a sense, he has delivered on his promises to bring a new level of austerity and honesty, which are words he used in his speech.
Right.
But frankly, I think what the roughly 1/3 of Mexicans who are really dissatisfied with this government are upset about is that the two big problems, the economy and security, have really not been resolved.
Now, let's also look at Mexico's relationship with the U.S. We saw the president highlight his government's role in what he said was saving the U.S. trade relationship. And obviously, you also have immigration talks with the U.S. Talk about those two issues, and what's your assessment on how AMLO's performed under those?
Yeah, this president's in a really tough situation. Prior to taking office as a candidate, of course, he was very critical of the previous government and said, you know, we need to stand up to the United States, especially we need to stand up to Donald Trump. But upon taking office, I think he realized that his options are really limited. If he allows Trump to cut off all trade with Mexico, to close the border, and all of the things that Trump has threatened to do, Mexico's in big trouble. Its economy would crumble because more than 2/3, almost 80% of its exports go to the United States. So it's really in a dependent relationship. And when the United States asks Mexico to cooperate on issues like immigration, Mexico doesn't have that many choices. So what they've done is to deploy federal forces to the southern border. They've allowed Mexico to, whether it's in name or not, it's a de facto third-party country for housing U.S. asylum-seeking refugees from Central America. Basically, his government has very much done the bidding of the Trump administration, and I think in the next few years that may hurt him in Mexican public opinion.
And just quickly, as we look ahead, looking at Mexico's economic outlook and what you're seeing with foreign investment there, how would you grade what you're seeing?
Well, I think, first of all, there was a lot of concern that in investment circles that López Obrador was the next Hugo Chavez or Maduro in Venezuela. And I think that kind of rhetoric was certainly overwrought, was exaggerated. I do think that there are good reasons to be concerned about the economic policies of this administration. His own economic minister, his own treasury minister, stepped down just a few months ago, citing concerns about López Obrador's ability to make good policy decisions on the economy. That would give, I think, any investor pause, and of course, investments in Mexico have stagnated over concerns about the economy in Mexico and worldwide, and over concerns about security. But I do think that López Obrador is trying to do the one thing that really we have not seen anyone do for decades in Mexico, and that's address the fundamental problem of inequality.
Right.
If Mexico's poor, I mean, we're talking about a country where at least 35–40% of people live below the poverty rate. If Mexico became a truly middle-class society, it would be our most important export market in the world. It would become our most important trading partner permanently. Currently, it's our #1 trading partner. It would sustain its role as an essential partner to the U.S. economy. But in order to do that, major changes are needed in education, in providing work opportunities for the poor, even in agricultural reform and other areas. So that's a very tall order. But at least the president is really trying to address those issues.
Right.
And I think that's why he's being given the benefit of the doubt by so many Mexicans.
All right, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Professor David Shirk, the Director of the Master's Program in International Relations at the University of San Diego.